Well, I think that this worldwide event that is affecting pretty well everybody is also adversely affecting YouTube. Because yesterday's episode, I started uploading just after 3 in the afternoon, like I have done many, many times before. At first everything went normal. Then it seemed to slow down. It was indicating that it was going to take longer and longer to upload. It still would make it by 5 p.m. But I knew something was wrong. Then all of a sudden, it got itself up to about 80% uploaded. At least that's what it said. And then it seemed to stop. And then I noticed when I looked at the screen again, it had jumped back to around 45%. And I'm thinking, well, how could that be? Anyway, it kept going and eventually got up to 100%. And it did process it. It did post it at 5 p.m. like it's supposed to. But it was only 360p, as probably a lot of you found out. Today, I'm going to start uploading earlier, which means I'm going to have to, if I'm going to have any kind of content at all in this episode, I better get going at it. And I don't like to force myself at something like this because I'm doing this just for fun. And if I have to force myself, then it's not going to be fun anymore. So I'm just going to work at it. It might be a little shorter. As I've said before, whenever I say it's going to be short, then it turns out to be long. So it depends on how it goes and how I feel. Now, I think I said at the end of yesterday's upload, I was going to put on the macro lens. And but before I put on the macro lens, some of you will be probably excited because I am now excited, I mean disappointed, that I am going to be using my cordless drill instead of the pin vise. Right now I got the applicator and the pin vise. But you know, when I use a pin vise, even no matter how careful I am, I'm putting lateral force up and down and around. It would be actually fairly easy to still break off this little bit. Now maybe I should choke up on this bit just a little bit here, and maybe I've got too much sticking out. And there's less of a chance if we put it in a bit here. Okay, I think that's still straight. Yeah, it's not too bad. I'll try and tweak it a bit here and get it a little bit more true before I actually start. But yeah, I generally have pretty good luck using this. I know this is maybe better, but I'm not as steady as I used to be. And I think that I can probably do just as good a job with this thing as I can doing it by hand, as long as I'm careful. I know a person has a tendency to get a little bit aggressive because that's the whole idea. It can do it a lot faster. But if you just keep the RPM low and don't get the pressure on too much, we should be okay here. I have actually used smaller bits in this thing than this. Yeah. All right, let's get the macro lens on. Okay, I'm basically supporting the weight of the drill itself on my fingers, so I can feel if I'm putting any kind of excess pressure on the bit when I'm pressing in like this. The battery part of it is on the steady rest. Now I'm going to just stop talking here and start concentrating. Now I do believe we went through. Now I have rethreaded our little piece of easy line here, and I've trimmed off the end, because this was the end. If you remember, we pulled it out of the maybe I didn't go all the way through. Maybe I only thought I did, because that should poke in there. Okay, let's give it a little bit more with the drill. Definitely through. Now remember, folks, we're working with something here that is about the thickness of a human hair, maybe a little bit thicker. Okay, there, I've got about probably half an inch in there. Now, to give a relation of size, there's a toothpick. So that to that viewer that suggested I use the toothpick trick, you can see why it wouldn't work. We have our line here now running at about the right angle, and I don't want to pull on it too hard, obviously. I'm going to pull it out of that little hole. We will put the macro lens back on. Now, you wouldn't think that something this small puts too much glue on. And Tony was suggesting I try a toothpick again. So we'll try our toothpick and see if possibly that's going to work. I have tried the toothpick before, and it seemed that the CA glue absorbed into the toothpick, and when I was touching it on wherever, nothing was coming off. But maybe I was using the CA thin, and it was absorbing into the wood. So we'll just use the CA thinned out medium, which is what I used on the other side. And we'll just give it a try. Let's stick on the macro lens. Okay, now remember, I do not have to glue it to the side of the funnel. Gotta just try and get some CA glue in that hole. I took another sample of the Well, that was great, wasn't it? Okay, maybe I am just too shaky and too clumsy to use a toothpick. See if we can get this back in there now. Maybe I've got too much on the applicator. Now maybe I've got too little. I think I did better than the other side. Now I was noticing here that I'd forgotten to pull this line taut so that it would go in the right direction. But I think I can probably bend that over. Right now it probably looks a little bit not too realistic. Okay, just sort of flatten it out this way. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be okay. Before it was sort of sticking out. Maybe I should have the macro lens on so you could have seen it better, but... Okay, now this time, when we get it onto that, glue it onto that ring, remember, not too tight, just a little bit. Maybe I can just sort of hook it around here somehow. Will it stay? No. Keeps wanting to fall back off of there. Well, how come it worked on the other side? Must be doing something different here. Because the angles are exactly the same, only mirror image of each other. Keeps wanting to fall back down. If I could hook it around this little thing on the end here. I'll think of something. Now, this is an idea that may not work. If I was to put a little piece of blue tack on there, then when I pull this to the right tension that I want, I lay it on the blue tack. Can I pull it down into it? No, didn't work. Okay, here's another thought. How would it be if when I get it just the way I want it, I hold it there, put a little bit of glue on, and then I have my blowing tube all ready to go. If I can do it without shaking, that is. See, right now that's where pretty much where I want it. Okay, back to the blue tack. Instead of sticking it on the mast there, why don't I just put it on as a weight? Now this should work. Come on. Try it like that. There we go. Okay, now we get this one up where we want it, which is right there. Yeah. Now we put our minute amount of CA in the right place. In the comments this morning, somebody had asked me, how long did I think that this series was going to keep going? And I have to admit that this rigging is taking a lot. There. Longer than I thought. The railing did too. I think I made a comment like it may never, a reply that something like it may never be finished or something, but I think it will, but it is taking longer than I thought. When we look really close like this, we can see that where the line was touching the mast, the CA did wick its way up again, same as the other side. I guess I put on too much again. Now, as we did before, I'm just going to put the crochet hook behind the post here just to hold against me. No, I don't know if I cut anything there. Yeah, I did. Now somewhere downstairs in my toolbox, I have some very, very fine wire that I saved out of the windings from a miniature electronic component of some kind that I can't remember what it was anymore. And I know I could have used that. It's probably about the same diameter. However, it doesn't stretch. Now, this is supposed to stretch. The idea being is if you accidentally catch on it, it is supposed to, stretch and then go back. Now, this is going to be the first time I've tested it for that purpose, fastened in for real, if you know what I mean. So you're going to see it along with me for the first time. Okay, it works. Now the far one there, I noticed it took a while for it to go back. maybe it got a little bit too slack there. But I think it'll be okay. Now, I don't think I'm going to go by the photographs that we were looking at yesterday because there was just way too many lines. We're going to go by the illustrations in the manual that came with the other ship, and I do believe that I saw a line going from right here where we were working, and it came over here somewhere. I think it came onto the top of this, but I'm not sure. Let's check that out. If there was any lower lines, it'd be a good idea maybe to do them first, but I don't remember seeing any. There was a lot going straight up and down. Anyway, let's just check that out. Now, not to change the subject here, but a moment ago I looked at the stern and I saw that two of my depth charges had come out, and they were just sitting here on the back of the deck. So what I've done is I've put them back in, and I've just put a tiny little bit of CA just on the bottom of the platform there. I don't think they're going to be rolling out now. Now, speaking of depth charges, just in case there was somebody who thought I was serious when I told that story the other day about the cook who came up with the idea of putting a railing post right in front of the rack, because during heavy seas the depth charges kept rolling off into the ocean. I was just kidding. I was just finding an excuse for why I'd done a poor job of spacing my railing posts. Okay, if we look at this illustration right here, it looks like there are two lines. These are the two right here that we just put on yesterday and today. It fastens up here, same place as where the other lines were, and it comes to little brackets. Here's an enlargement right here, down here. And now I am almost sure that our Bismarck does not have these. So I think maybe I'll see if I can, drill a hole in there carefully and safely. Otherwise, we're just going to have to sort of just glue it on. Anyway, let's go back to the Bismarck and see what we've got. See what it looks like right here. That is the spot that I remembered. At least I think it is. The decking looks different, though. I don't remember it looking like that. Now, mind you, this is an entire different model, so, it's bound to be different. I have turned our Bismarck around the other way, so it's the same perspective as that drawing that we were just looking at. And what do you notice on the drawing that we don't have here? Railing on this little part right there. Anyway, our line goes from up here, where we attached before, and one would go right there, and the other end would go on the other side. I do think I might be able to drill that out, but on the other hand, might end up breaking something off here. Anyway, I'm going to have to cut today's episode off a little bit earlier because I do want to start the upload a little bit earlier and see if that'll make a difference. Give YouTube more of a chance here. So it doesn't mean I'm not going to work on it anymore this afternoon. I probably will, and that'll be the beginning of tomorrow's episode. Anyway, thanks for watching, and all being well, we will see you tomorrow.